Yeah, I'm the mean guy that pulls the hook, but I have some partners in crime. Muno is one of our timekeepers. Thank you so much. She's putting up signs that I see, so I know when to step in. And Dennis, I don't know if Dennis is still here. Dennis is one of our innovation scholars. He was the timekeeper for the first half. We have 6 teams in the first half of the graduate track, and so this is team number 4. We're going to take a 10-minute break after the 6th team. You get up and stretch your legs. There's a 2-minute break, so if you need to get up, I appreciate you would wait until there's a transition between teams so we can transition the room and have it quiet so that people aren't distracted. We have so many different unique kinds of students that come to Carnegie Mellon, and the Logan here is a medical doctor who decided to come back and get a master's degree in artificial intelligence. I mean, that just doesn't happen many places, and Carnegie Mellon is one of the places that happens. Galen Health is using AI to predict pancreatic cancer. Without further ado, we'll let them go.
All right. Hey, everybody. My name is Logan.
And I'm Kushag.
And we're the co-founders of Galen Health. Today, we want to talk about pancreatic cancer and what we're doing to change the fight against it. But first, we should tell you about why we're doing pancreatic cancer. Pancreatic ductal adenocarcinoma, or PDAC, is one of the deadliest cancers that exists. Historically, a positive diagnosis of pancreatic cancer has been a death sentence. But with AI, now we have the power to grant a pardon. The problem with pancreatic cancer can be summed up in 2 words: early detection. That's it. 500,000 people die from this disease worldwide every year, but it doesn't have to be the case. You see, it's easy to treat if we catch it early, but we don't have a way to catch it early. There's no early symptoms for the disease, and we don't have any standardized screening tests. So by the time people realize that they have pancreatic cancer, it's usually stage 4 and has already spread. At that point, they can endure some expensive or invasive treatments, but despite everything that they do and all the money that they spend, only 10% will live another 5 years after diagnosis.
So that's where our platform, OncoSight, comes in. OncoSight analyzes longitudinal data from electronic health records, such as medication history, procedures, lab values, and discharge notes. And it identifies people which are at high risk of developing pancreatic cancer. It routinely screens all patients in the healthcare system. And when it suspects that a patient might be developing a silent tumor, it flags their record for timely follow-up with the healthcare provider. Early detection, early management. It's a seamless, non-invasive screening process that integrates effortlessly into existing healthcare frameworks, ensuring everyone is screened and no one is left out. So for our current MVP, we used Mimic4, which is a public database of electronic health records from Boston. Our deep learning model can predict if a person will have pancreatic cancer in the next 6 months with over 87% accuracy and AUROC. Currently, we are in the process of developing our MVP, fine-tuning it better with teams at Microsoft as part of the semifinals round of 2024 Imagine Cup. The limitation for us right now is that we have access to very few positive pancreatic cancer data points. With access to bigger private hospital datasets, this accuracy will shoot up further.
And beyond saving lives alone, it's also a significant economic opportunity. The pancreatic cancer diagnostic market in the US is $2.7 billion this year and is expected to get to almost $4 billion by the end of the decade in the US alone. So OncoSight would benefit all 3: patients, payers, and providers. So our strategy is to develop the platform and license it in a B2B SaaS model to hospital systems, to healthcare IT systems, meaning like electronic health records like Epic or Cerner, and then insurance companies as well, anybody that benefits from these insights. There are other cancer diagnostic companies in the landscape, obviously, but what sets us apart is our non-invasive and AI-native approach. You see, these other names that you might recognize require blood tests or invasive biopsies that are expensive, but ours uses information that's already there in the health record and autonomously screens people for this disease, doing it at scale. And so why us? Well, like Dave said, I am a physician. I'm also a computer scientist here at Carnegie Mellon, and I have experience at Harvard Medical School doing clinical AI research. And Kush is also a healthcare machine learning aficionado, and he is getting his master's in data science here at Carnegie Mellon.
We're also fortunate to have expert advisors guiding us every step of the way. Dr. Alessandro Panicia is a surgical oncologist at UPMC with over 16 years of experience in pancreatic oncology. Justin Olszewski is a senior venture partner. As the co-founder and CTO of Voyage Bio, which was an acquired Y Combinator startup, he brings in immense wealth of experience in biotechnology and startup ventures. And Dr. Paulo Fontes was the director of the liver transplant program at UPMC and has co-founded multiple successful biotech companies. So addressing patient data privacy concerns and navigating regulatory pathways are paramount to our success. So we maintain patient data privacy by leveraging federated learning to update our model parameters without ever moving the data from the hospital servers. We also plan to initiate early FDA dialogue through pre-submission meetings to ensure regulatory alignment. So the path to integrating medical AI into healthcare is complex, but our roadmap is clear, with milestones of continued product development and a healthcare system validation by the end of this year before initiating FDA dialogue. So currently, we are planning to raise $3 million of seed funding. This is to support the startup's initial steps, such as building a core team, advancing product development, and laying the groundwork for regulatory coursework. So reflecting on our journey, we are reminded of the reality that faces those diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. With no effective screening, the prognosis is poor today. But at Galen Health, we are not just dreaming of a different future, we are building it. For 90% of the patients, pancreatic cancer is a death sentence. But with AI, we can potentially grant them a pardon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Rajesh?
Could you go back to the slide where you said you could predict, I think 87% of patients in 6 months? Is that the number?
Yes.
Do you- Does that number include everyone that was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, or how are you? And also, what stage were they at after 6 months? Like, did you miss any?
Yeah, so it's 87% of all patients, like, so the AUROC is basically like composite of all the positive and the negative class. So it includes patients who were correctly classified as pancreatic cancer and also the ones who are correctly classified as not to be pancreatic cancer patients. So it includes both of them. And 6 months is currently a smaller time frame for us. Essentially, we would want to move to at least 1 year or 1.5 years, because that's the difference between stage 2 and stage 3 and 4. And that is where the saving can be. But because of limited access of public database right now, this is the signal that we could capture right now. But essentially with bigger private data sets, this timeline would be further. So we could detect in stage 1 and 2 instead of 3 and 4. That's the idea.
Could I ask a follow-up clarifying? So right now you're able to detect at stage, somewhere between stage 2 and stage 3?
Like 6 months is basically the time between stage 2 and stage 3.
And
So-
what's the intervention at that point, and what's the success rate of that intervention? At
Yeah.
stage
So
2 or stage
at
3?
stage, from stage 3, there would be no like successful intervention. But at stage 1 and 2, like there's a Whipple procedure that you can do, and maybe Logan can expand on these things.
Yeah. So it's the whole thesis is that if you diagnose it at stage 1 or stage 2, a surgical resection and maybe some follow-up chemotherapy will be enough to be curative, right? That's all you need to do is just get rid of the tumor. But at stage 3 and stage 4, even with surgical resection, you'll miss parts of it. A lot of times inoperable because of how vascular the pancreas is as an organ, and then you start incurring costs like follow-up surgeries and really expensive chemotherapy. Monoclonal antibodies, which are like 50% of like the pharmaceutical expenses in the US today. So that's when things really skyrocket. All that gets undercut if we can catch it earlier.
So how far are you, sorry, I won't do this again. How far are you from getting to stage 1 and stage 2 detection?
So that depends on the data. So like if we have access to larger data set, like right now we are working with hundreds of positive pancreatic cancer data points. When we move that to, let's say, thousands of at least pancreatic positive data points, then we can increase the time span from 6 months to 1 to 1.5 years. And that means that we would be capturing it in stage 1 and 2 instead of just stage, like between stage 2 and 3. That's
Yeah, we can only say so much because of the number that we have access to, but it is possible to build these things. We intend to as we get more and more data.
How are you planning to build the data that you have access to and the cleanliness or completeness of that data so that you can do the necessary research you just alluded to?
How do we plan to clean the data, or how do we
Well,
plan
no,
to?
you have to access it and then you get it, and 99% of the time it's not as clean as they tell you. I mean, I've been through that, and
Yeah.
et cetera. How do you crack that?
I mean, we're a startup, so we do things that don't scale by nature right now. So just elbow grease, like that's what we did with the other stuff that we've had access to so far. It's a lot of data engineering. Over half of the effort, I would say, probably the bulk of the effort is just organizing the data and making sense out of it. But that's part of the job.
And like we want to be collaborating with hospital systems and get access to their private data. So there we have some initial like traction where we are trying to like get access to de-anonymized patient data from hospital systems directly, but it would be much more meaningful to directly collaborate with IT companies like Epic and Cerner if they can give API access to their data, which would be in much better cleaning format as well. But that depends on like how it.
Yeah, if we do it on the hospital's rails, like oftentimes they'll have like digital solutions, like an internal team, they'll normalize it and clean it for us. But like we're prepared to just do it all ourselves as well.
You said that you don't upload data. So are you anonymous? How are you getting data to analyze and ensuring, the whole PHI?
So essentially, like hospitals have, like for example, with UPMC, they have a digital solutions team which is de-anonymizing the data and keeping it in their hospital servers. So what we are doing is our model is central to us. Like only the updates on their weights are pushed to our central model. So we never actually train the data on their servers. Like it's trained on our servers, just the updates from their data are pushed to the central repository. So that is a federated learning approach that I was talking about.
How frequently do they do this?
So this is like this is something that we will be figuring out with hospital systems. Right now, we have pretty early stage and we are working with publicly available data. But essentially, we want to be able to run the screening algorithm at least every month so that every new flags can be raised. So that would maybe define the frequency of their uploads to the.
Why just pancreatic? Why not just have a cancer detector with dozens?
You can, but we got to start somewhere, right? So our sharp wedge is not just cancer, not just pancreatic cancer, early detection of pancreatic cancer, and then we're going to go from there.
And this general framework.
We're done. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.